Hey everybody, it's a special day at school today. I got my order form for books. I got my little envelope ready. I'm going to put my change in there. Gee, I hope I'm not a penny short. Let's get them in there. Because Mrs. Lubner is going to take all this change today. And I'm going to get my special books. I'm going to order them from the Scholastic Book Club. I love that. There we go. I got my 75 cents ready. We're going to order some books, baby. The Scholastic Book Club began in 1948 and still goes to this day. Kids can still order books from school. I'm sure they're more expensive than when we were buying them for 10, 25, and 50 cents back in the day. Here we have a few of the order sheets from the 1970s through the 1990s. Today I'm sure it's mostly all done online. So I was always excited during my elementary school days when we'd have book order club day from Scholastic Books. You'd get a little form, you'd fill it out, you'd check off the boxes of the books that you liked and you wanted. They usually cost around 25 cents back then in the 70s. I'm sure they cost about probably $5 a piece now. I'm not positive. I haven't looked into it, but so you'd bring your change and maybe your dollar bills if you ordered that extravagantly. The teacher would collect them, gather them up, and then, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, she'd come in with a box full of books and hand them out, and that was like Christmas in July. I only have 2 surviving books from those days of ordering. These were 2 very special books for me that I still cherish. I can't say I still read them, but I do enjoy having them around. They're a reminder of good old days when I was first learning to read and first really appreciating it. I've got these 2. This one here is called Stranger from the Depths by Jerry Turner. This was written and published in 1969. I think I ordered this one around 1972. It's a science fiction book for kids. It features this lizard dude. I think his name was Sa, S-A-A, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't read it in many years. But I read this a few times. Really love this book. It's about some kids. They find a sea cave, and they kind of explore it, and then they find this world underneath the earth where this guy kind of is their guide to this kind of Jules Verne-like fantasy world, and there's an apocalyptic theme in here. This was one of those mind-bending books for me as a young kid. I don't know how well it holds up now, but as a youth book, it was quite nice. It's a little bit beat up, and it's a common book. This was a bestseller for Scholastic, I think, for many years, and it was kind of my introduction to science fiction, monster stories. At that time, I liked to watch monster movies. I was a young boy, of course. The other thing I got, this was my first paranormal book, and this is Stranger Than Science by Frank Edwards. Frank Edwards was a well-known kind of paranormal writer of the 50s and 60s. I think he had a radio show and a column in the newspaper. These are basically really short articles, like newspaper-length articles, short magazine-length articles, a compendium of some of his scary stories that are supposedly true. I think he had more than one volume. This is just one of the volumes he did. This one, I think, was written in 1959. There's one story in this book that really scared the crap out of me. I think it was about this woman who was being attacked by some invisible vampire. She was having her arms bitten all over, and the people around her could see all these bite marks and blood and everything. And this freaked me out. This made me scared of the dark for a while. None of the other stories in here quite had the impact on me as that one did, although I do remember a lot of them. And they're very mysterious. I don't necessarily believe any of this stuff. The mind can play tricks on you. A lot of people believe a lot of nonsense. That's another story, but if you get exposed to a lot of nonsense over time, you start believing it. I approach these as ghost stories, and it's fun to read ghost stories. It's fun to be scared around the campfire, as it were. And Stranger Than Science, very beat up book, very loved on in the day. Still have it. Don't think it's really worth anything. You still see this turn up a lot in thrift stores. So anyway, so that's my Scholastic Book Club holdings right now. Not many left from the old days, but tell me if you had a Scholastic Book Club experience. Do you still have your Scholastic Book Club books? If you're a more recent kid or was a kid more recently, how does that process work today? Is it pretty much the same as our day back in the 50 years ago when I was a little kid. Here's your Scholastic book order. Hey, Mrs. Lubner, I didn't order this. What's this about? I want to read this.